Mhm.
So the very first thing you do is you notice what it feels like to be in that situation. That's the first step. Notice what it feels like to have that situation. The second step is to notice where you feel it in you, because the feeling of it is in you, right? So you notice where you feel it in you.
Okay, and
Then,
this might be sometimes a little bit more difficult because many people have not a good
mhm.
feeling for their own body. But when you try it out, when the next time you're very angry, for instance, it's the most easiest way. Feel where it is in your body. What does it with your body? Where is
Yeah,
the anger?
how can you tell you're angry,
Mhm.
right? In fact, what's interesting about this procedure is the worse the thing you're dealing with, the easier it is to apply this procedure to it. So you've got this feeling in you, and you notice where you feel it in you. And if you pay attention, you'll notice it has a location in you. And that feeling has a size and shape in you that can only be noticed by direct feeling, not by thinking about it, but by paying attention to what you're feeling. And it has an intensity. How intense is it? And so the step wording goes: notice where you feel it in you, notice its size and shape, notice its intensity. So that's the very first step. And that's actually the most ordinary kind of experience. Everybody goes through life experiencing the 10,000 shocks flesh is heir to, the 10,000 kinds of incidents that we experience as a feeling. That's primarily where it affects us. So it's as common as can be. And it's not just a feeling in terms of the feeling as in touch or tension. A feeling could be any sense. It could be what it looks like to you, what it sounds like to you. It's your direct experience of it. The next step is to notice the intention in it. That means the persistence of its forcefulness in you. It isn't just like vapor where the feeling just evaporates. If it were, conditions wouldn't stick around and trouble you. So there's a kind of intensity and an intention you feel in it and toward it. You wish it would change, you wish it would be different. And about it, the story you tell yourself, even non-verbally, just like the attitude you have toward it. So you've gotten the experience of the thing and your whole attitude toward it. See how familiar that is, except people don't typically pay attention. But if you do, you just make the decision to pay attention, it's right there. So the next step after that is feel how it all matters. Now, if it didn't matter, it wouldn't even be an issue for you, right? So you just feel how it all matters. And then feel how it mattering involves you. Now, what that means is that it's not as if it were happening to somebody else. It's really got you. Welcome. It's really got you. And in that feeling of it's really got you is the thing that makes you want to do something about it. So that's the next step. Following that, you tell yourself, you just think the words to yourself, it's true, it's true, it's untrue, it's untrue, it's untrue. Now, thinking to yourself it's true, you already believe it's true, or it wouldn't be troubling you. However, there may be a part of you that doubts yourself, that maybe you're in the wrong, maybe it isn't what you think it is, or maybe it's that there's an opposite possibility that you haven't recognized. In either case, you just tell yourself it's true, it's true, it's untrue, it's untrue, it's untrue. And you get a feeling of what it feels like for it to be true and what it feels like if it were untrue. All you're doing is touching on the feelings that have always been there but have been subconscious. The next step is to remember what it feels like for it to be true. So you remember the feeling of it's true, it's true. And then you remember the feeling of, it's untrue, it's untrue, it's untrue. So what you're doing is making it more conscious, more vivid, more available to be noticed and to get a handle on it. The next step is called feel or notice how remembering involves imagining. In a little bit, we're going to do a little brief exercise about remembering and imagining that'll show you how they are actually two ways of describing the same thing at different levels of intensity. Memory is much more dense than imagining. It disappears much more slowly than imagining something does. So you notice how remembering involves imagining. And the last step is stop imagining. Let it dissolve and dissipate. Awaken. It's much more easily done to awaken from something you're imagining, right, than it is from a hard, solid life circumstance. And so we do that step. And as soon as you do that step, something very interesting happens. As soon as you stop imagining, the intensity of the situation either evaporates altogether or it evaporates some. If it evaporates altogether, you've just experienced release. If it evaporates some, you've experienced a partial release. In which case, you take what's left and run the whole procedure through again. And it doesn't take long to do. In the learning stages, yeah, it'll take you a few minutes just to learn to do the steps and to remind yourself of each step. But when you know the procedure by heart, you can do a gold key release in less than a minute easily. So it goes much more quickly than in the learning phase. So I've given you an overview of the structure of the gold key release. We've touched on memory, intention, that's the intensity, attention, because you're putting your attention right onto the feelings, and imagining, that last step. And when you lift off, when you let go of the imagining, you experience a release that is not just mental, it's felt. In fact, the good sign of a good completion of the gold key release is you cannot remember what it was you were working on. You're left with very, very clear-mindedness, and you may even be able to be unable to remember what it was you were working on. That's how thoroughly it accomplishes what it accomplishes.